Hello, I'm Finola Burke from RaaS, and today we're focused on data and insights and media group, Pureprofile, ASX ticker PPL. Joining me today is Managing Director and CEO Martin Filz and COO and CEO Melinda Sheppard. Welcome, Martin and Mel.
Thank you very much, Finola. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Finola.
You have outlined, Martin, a three-stage strategy for Pureprofile in which you're now more than halfway through, having spent much of the past 18 months investing in people, in tech and in the panel. Can you take us through how this will leverage into the next stage of your plan?
Yeah, happy to, and that's a really good word to use, leverage. So it's almost that we didn't call it this in the presentations, but stage one was fix it, stage two was optimize it, and then stage three is leverage it. And so we really are at that stage now. You've all seen great growth from the company where we've doubled revenues, doubled EBITDA, and the percentages also of EBITDA margin. And now it's a case of we've made all that investment from 24 onwards is to start leveraging that and realizing that to continue the growth story that we have, but also to see more of the dollars flow through to the bottom line. So that is the stage, another 6 months or so, and that's the stage we're going to enter.
And Mel, you've had a strong start to this half year with revenue up 16% on the PCP and growth of 28% in the data and insights business, and this is just in January. It's 1 month, but what can we extrapolate from this growth?
Yeah, great question, Finola. So what you'd expect to see is the trajectory that you've seen in the first half of the year and in January to continue right through to the second half of the year. I would be expecting to see our regions outside of Australia growing as strongly as what you've seen in January, and probably our APAC region a little bit stronger, to be honest, in the second half of the year from what you've seen in January. January is obviously a softer month, particularly in Australia for this year, with a lot of people on leave over the month of January. So you should see that growth being a little bit higher in the second half of the year. With our Pure Amplify business, obviously there will be no UK revenue in the second half of the year, and we are expecting a softer advertising market to continue on during the second half of the year. So overall, kind of what you've seen in January is what you should see for the rest of the year.
And Martin, you have a stated goal of delivering more revenues from offshore than in Australia. Where do you see that trajectory currently?
Yeah, so I think the set of numbers, both half year and January, perfectly illustrate where we've put investment and where we're seeing returns. So if I take the half year results, we saw 23% growth in Asia Pacific and 45% growth outside of Asia Pacific. And that's by design. That's where we put the investment, the resources, the people, growing our data sources, adding skills that we wanted in those areas. And why? Because the UK market, I've said this before, is 14 times bigger than the Australian market. And then the real one is the US market, which is 40 times bigger than the Australian market. And we're really growing out of our UK and European market, and we're just getting our entry correct for the US. And then hopefully during 24, we'll see the US start to accelerate as well. But the way that we're running at the moment, we fully expect outside of Asia Pacific as a run rate to overtake Asia Pacific in the last quarter of financial year 24. So far, so good.
And Mel, the business has been now operating cash flow positive for some time, and it's a net cash position. Do you feel any need for additional capital to drive this growth plan?
Yeah, so half one for our results, we did see a slight decline in our cash balance, and that was due to a number of one-off payments that we needed to make during the half, plus some timing differences for some amounts that were taken up through the P&L in the last financial year. We're not expecting to see that same quantum of one-off payments in the second half of the year, and so you'll start to see our cash balance rebuilding coming into the end of the financial year. And for that reason, we have no requirement to raise any capital. Our growth plans for FY24 are more than accommodated within our working capital profile for FY24. So no plans and no requirement at this point in time. We're going to continue to operate our business within the working capital like profile that we have currently.
And then also, just to add to that really quickly, Finola, we've Mel's reiterated our guidance. So we're really happy with how the year's progressing and has progressed, and we're reiterating our guidance for the year. And certainly there were no plans for any capital raising to deliver what we expect to deliver.
And Martin, that's a nice segue into my final question, but you are also very focused on profitability, and you have that as a stated goal for the business. Do you feel you now have the cost base right to deliver that goal?
Yeah, look, it's a nice circular conversation. It's where we started at the beginning of this chat. And absolutely, stage 3 is to leverage the investment that we've already made. We feel that the business is now right-sized to enable us to deliver increased EBITDA margin and NPAT profitability. Not giving guidance, but certainly that's our direction. And again, if you look at the results in the presentation that we just put forward, you can see that there has been obviously a decrease in the NPAT losses, and that's considerable. And we've seen that come from 5.8 million 2 years ago to 2.2 million. And then with our guidance, you would expect that to come down to between 1 and 1.5 million for this year. And so one carries on with the same top line growth, more efficiency, more higher EBITDA percentage, and that should be quite quickly eradicated.
Well, thank you, Martin and Mel, for your time today. I'm looking forward to checking back with you through the course of 2023 to check on Pureprofile's progress.